Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I wanted to go ahead and do a setup tour, kind of what I'm using towards the beginning of this year to produce videos. So the first half will kind of be walking through more of the hardware side of things, gear, cameras, lenses, mics, all of that. And then the back half will kind of be A to Z, how do I actually produce a video, whether that's kind of a talking head piece like this or whether that's just a normal guitar playthrough like I usually do. I want to say too that I'm by no means like a pro at any of this stuff, so take that with a grain of salt. I've actually been on this journey for a couple years now. I actually got the camera that you're watching this on now. I got that probably a little over 2 years ago, and I mainly got it to start YouTube stuff and was like, hey, I can actually take photos with this too, and then got carried away with photography for a little over a year. Still do that on the side now, but definitely kind of dived into more of the YouTube creating, video creating thing too. So yeah, definitely not a pro at the whole YouTube video thing, but we'll kind of go through some of my processes, some stuff I've learned that's made this a whole lot easier and a lot less intimidating. Keep in mind too that you don't need thousands of dollars to pull off videos that look pretty good. You don't really need a ton of money to pull off a pretty good video process. So nothing I have as far as gear goes is amazing or like state of the art or anything like that. This is just what I've found works for me and what might work for you too. All right, so right now I'm sitting kind of at my desk using it in what I call video mode. I have kind of two different setups on the same desk, video mode and audio mode. Audio mode is kind of what I leave it in most of the time. That's when my two monitors are on the side here. It's when my interface is over to the side right here, computer's in the middle, so I can work and get all my stuff done. Video mode, I kind of clear the monitors off. I've actually got some clamps that hold all of the wires and cables under the desk kind of attached to it. So all it takes, I just pull the 1/4-inch cables out, the power cables, and just set those to the side, so I've got tons of room to shoot or to set up a shot, and those aren't going to get in the way. So let's go ahead and walk through audio mode, like how I have that set up for just general working on stuff. This could be editing, this could be writing outlines, shot lists for videos, anything I need to kind of organize a shoot and make it as easy as I can. So the desk itself isn't anything special. There's no like trays or drawers or anything like that. So a pretty minimal setup, but that also makes it easy to kind of swap in and out of video to audio mode whenever I need to. I can get my monitor set up and take the audio monitors off in like a minute. So it's a super quick transition to make the space work for whatever I needed to do in the moment. So the two key pieces that I use to obviously listen to music and to kind of monitor back when I'm editing and EQing a voice or a guitar are these two monitors. So these are the Yamaha HS7s. The whole HS range, they have the 5s, the 7s, and then the 8s. And so I went with the 7s because I wanted something that sounded full enough without having to need a sub to monitor low end or anything like that. The 5s are awesome, but they lack a little bit in the low end. The 7s give kind of that perfect balance for not going to blow your head off with low end, but enough to be able to accurately reference it well. These two monitors are being fed by a Focusrite 18i8. This is basically kind of a really big brother to the really familiar 2i2 that a lot of people use. That's actually what I upgraded from. I just needed more than two inputs. Like when I'm doing a video where I need to talk and play guitar with two channels or something like that. Or if I have friends over, we've got some people over and we want to track bass and keys and guitar. That's not really possible when you only have two inputs. So I made the upgrade to switch to that. It's been awesome. Super clean preamps that are really, really flexible for voice, for guitar, keys, acoustic guitar, anything like that. So the main piece that kind of powers all of this is my 2015 MacBook Pro. I feel like everyone that has a MacBook either has like something brand new or like a year old maybe, or the exact same 2015 8 gigs of RAM MacBook Pro that people got like out of college or for college or something like that. This is not a super high spec machine, so keep that in mind. I only run iMovie on it. I feel like Final Cut would destroy it and blow it up. So I'm not really doing any super heavy editing as far as color grading in a video software, but it gets the job done. It can run Logic really smoothly. I'll probably upgrade this to maybe one of the Mac Minis with the M1. I kind of want to see how those do for the majority of creators and producers and that kind of thing. Maybe we'll get on that next year. But as far as the basic things that I need it to do, this MacBook works really, really well. So those are the basic components of what I, again, would call audio mode. And so video mode, I'm taking these monitors off, the Yamaha HS7s off the desk, and then I bring a Dell, just a standard kind of computer monitor. I set that to the right of where I'm sitting. So that allows me to check if I'm in focus, if I need to hold something else up and check if that's in focus. I can kind of check, is the shot level? Does everything look decent? Is it properly exposed? All of that. So I used to use kind of my larger TV off to the side, but the key light kind of sits right in between myself and that monitor. So whenever I would look over, I'd kind of have to like peek around and or would have to walk around it entirely and see it. So this smaller monitor sits on my desk, works great. I can kind of check, again, like focus and make sure everything looks good on camera. So for video mode 2, I just kind of keep my MacBook in front of me, but off to the side and out of shot. If I have like any outline that I need to keep up on the screen, I'll kind of keep that there. In video mode 2, if it's just a guitar video, I obviously don't need like a vocal mic or anything to pick that up. Just the guitar signal is going to be recorded directly into the interface. But when we're doing these talking head shots, I actually use, a lot of people will use like a lav mic or something like that. I use a shotgun mic. And so that sits just out of shot right here. It's like an inch out of shot. I just feel like that picks up my voice really accurately. This is a pretty live room. I live kind of in like a loft situation. So the ceilings are super high and I haven't really treated the room for acoustics or anything like that. So the shotgun mic allows me to get really, really good audio without having a ton of that reflection and bounce back. Another big part of video obviously is lighting. I have one main key light. It's kind of up and off to the side at like a 45-degree angle, so you get this nice kind of drop shadow coming off. If you angle it right in front, it'll look super harsh, and if you're kind of way off to the side, then these shadows get really heavy. It's a little too cool temperature-wise of a light. I would love something warmer, but we make it work for now. There's also an accent light right back here that it's this tiny little Lume Cube LED panel light that can switch from like a really warm tone to a really cool tone. So I usually set that to pretty warm to kind of contrast the front half of the shot. So just to show how important lighting is, this is me with literally those two lights clicked off. So you can see that it's just completely black, completely dark in here. I do that so there's not a ton of light bleed. So now we're gonna put on the key light. So this is just the key light. It fills out everything it needs to, gives me a nice shadow, all of that. And then if we put on the last kind of accessory light, just fills out the back, gives the shot a little bit of depth and dimension. All right, so last but not least in video mode, we obviously have the camera. So most people these days are shooting really, really high quality mirrorless stuff. I have an SL2 from Canon. It's just kind of like their small crop sensor DSLR. I love it. It looks amazing for photos. I'll kind of put up some recent stuff I've taken here, but it works really well. It shoots 60 frames per second. I shoot everything for these videos in 30. If it's any kind of slow-mo B-roll or something like that, I'll shoot that in 60 and then slow it down. But it does a really, really great job. A lot of the recent videos on my channel have been through this lens. It's the Sigma 30mm 1.4 art series. So this works great for crop sensors because it gives more of that kind of nifty 50 range. I have the 50mm, but on a crop sensor, you're looking more like 80 to 85 mil at that point. So getting that true 50 mil look, you're gonna need something around 30 mil. So this lens works great. That f1.4 works great for me because it's super shallow, really, really separates me from the background or the subject from the background, and looks great in photos too. Each piece of gear I mentioned too, I'll try and link below so you can find like the exact one if I didn't mention it, but everything I use is super reasonable, I think, and not crazy expensive. Keep in mind too that like price and wanting to have all the professional stuff held me back from actually starting a channel for 2 years. So don't think that it's this big scary thing. Like you just kind of figure stuff out as you go. There's a bunch of YouTube videos on like how to literally import something into iMovie. I know there's a lot more you can do with video as far as like premium, color grades and all of that, instead of having to use like a Lightroom hack like I do. But as the stuff grows, as I kind of get more robust gear that can handle that, we'll make the switch then, but for now, this stuff works great. All right, so let's kind of go through a beginning to end as far as how I actually do a video. So if I'm doing like a talking head video or something like this, I'll have a main outline and then I'll have what's called like a shot list. So that could be B-roll, that could be the main talking shot like this. Everything I need beginning to end to get all the pieces to start stitching stuff together. So obviously the majority of my channel is like guitar playthroughs and that kind of thing. So first step for that is obviously finding the song that you want to play to. I'll find that on either YouTube or if we've got it in like Planning Center, which is kind of like a planning service for churches and all of that. I'll find that. I'll obviously learn the parts to it. I'll bring that MP3 file into Logic. So I'll bring that in. I won't set it to any input because it's not that channel. The loop is not going to be set to like channel 1 or channel 2 or anything like that. Then I'll create 2 channels, a left and right guitar, and that'll be channel 1 and channel 2 on my interface. And I'm just coming stereo out. Currently I use the Iridium from STRYMON, so I'm just coming left, right stereo out. Left, I keep that as the green tape 1/4 inch, so I always know which corresponding cable is at my interface. The left stays, or the green one stays left, and then the right or the red cable stays right. So next I'll pan those in Logic just so you get that nice wide stereo spread. So once those channels are set up in Logic, I will check my camera, just make sure got plenty of battery, memory cards in there. That's obviously always a good thing. Make sure the light is properly exposing the guitar without washing it out or anything like that. And so once we start recording, I'll hit record on the camera first and then kind of wait maybe 10-20 seconds to my guitar, whatever I need to do. Then I'll hit record in Logic. And something that's really, really helpful when you're trying to sync things after the fact is to either do like a clap or something like that for more of a talking head piece like this, or you can like slap your guitar, slap the strings to kind of get that sync point. So once the recording's done, the first thing I'll do is take the video file from the memory card and just pull that onto a hard drive to make sure it's fine, that it didn't corrupt, and just kind of tuck that to the side. Then I'll edit the audio in Logic. So that might include some EQ. Usually I'll take a little bit of mid-range out of the backing track just kind of to kill the original guitars that might be in the track already. And then I might throw a little bit of compression just to kind of bring the levels and keep them pretty even. If I'm doing like a gear demo where I'm really trying to show what the piece of gear does, I don't really EQ those because I try to be, you know, as straightforward as I can. I don't want to EQ something to sound amazing when that might not be how the pedal actually sounds. But when I'm just producing kind of a normal playthrough, I'm trying to mix that like you would, you know, a normal production or something like that. All right, so I'll bounce the audio from Logic. Once that's all done and compressed and I've done a full listen through, make sure everything sounds good, I'll bounce that. And then I'll take the video footage that's sitting on my hard drive and actually open that into Lightroom. And I'll link the video I did about the whole video Lightroom color grading thing too. But basically I'm looking for any chromatic aberration that could be like really harsh pinks or purples. I'll pull those colors out as long as it doesn't kind of affect skin tones or anything like that. Once I get that looking good, I'll re-export that video and then bring that into iMovie. And from there, you're basically syncing the audio with your video. So keep in mind when you bring in the original video file, that already has the external audio from the camera attached to it. So the first thing you'll want to do is click on that video, right click, and then hit detach audio and just delete that audio, or else you'll get a bunch of weird bleed and that kind of thing. So the only things you're really syncing are the MP3 you bounced and then the remaining video without the original audio from the camera. So once you get everything synced, fortunately for just a guitar video, that's super easy. I might add like a super quick fade in, fade out, maybe add like a tail at the end so it just doesn't cut cold. But as far as like color correcting, adding a fade, anything like that, I don't do any of that in iMovie, mainly because it can't. I'm only really doing simple cuts, transitions, that sort of thing. And from there, once your video's done, you can add some text. If you want to kind of like introduce a section or the song, kind of have like the little thing that comes up or whatever. And then you export that. I export it right back to my hard drive so it's ready to upload to YouTube and good to go. Well, hey, I hope this helped. I know I've learned a ton of stuff and learned stuff every single time I turn the camera on and try to make another video. I learn a new angle, a new way to do X, Y, or Z. So keep in mind, this stuff is a process. You never really arrive, but you also don't need to know everything like I thought I did. If you haven't, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that bell as well. It keeps you up to date with everything I've got going on. I do have a really cool announcement coming probably in the next month or so. We've got some neat stuff right around the corner, but until then, we will see you next time.